Hello, welcome to the Trews. You know what colonialism is, don't you? It's when one sovereign power takes over other countries. Well, that was meant to have ended, wasn't it? When, Britain gave back India and all those different countries. But does colonialism continue under the mask of capitalism? And does that sound a bit boring? Well, if it does sound a bit boring, have you got one of these? Have you? Do you care? Have you... Oh, sorry, I've got a phone call. 1 minute.
This is one of the thousands of unregulated, unmonitored mines in the DRC. It's crawling with children, working like modern-day slaves. Although one of the poorest countries on earth, DRC is rich in minerals.
Though it has to be a poor country because it's made out of poorness and has poorness running through it.
How can it be one of the poorest countries on earth if it's rich in minerals? What's going on with the system, with the trading system?
The rush is on for a mineral the DRC has in great abundance, cobalt, and it's fast becoming more precious than gold. It's a critical ingredient in lithium-ion batteries which power smartphones and laptops.
So, wow, look, we're all participating in it. Cobalt. It's weird, isn't it? You think of this as a tool for communication, a tool for openness, but look at the ignorance that's tied up in my phone and my laptop. My phone and laptop are directly connected to the exploitation of people that are suffering.
We visited 5 different mines across the south of DRC and found all use child workers. Monica's the youngest worker in this group at just 4. They don't wear gloves or masks, yet the World Health Organization says exposure to cobalt and breathing in its dust fumes can cause long-term health problems.
It's odd, isn't it, to try to relate to it as a real event as opposed to a media event. It's odd to try to feel it viscerally as that is actually, like, even though I'm saying these things now, I don't think I'm going to go, well, fuck that then, I'm not going to use my phone. I'll probably still carry on using my phone. I suppose it's because we don't know how to dismantle that. Is there a way that we can have phones and not have that happen? Is there a way that they could be properly paid? Not without some sort of genuine solidarity movement, not without people over here caring about their consumerism, and not without us ultimately, I suppose, being willing to sacrifice our phones if that's what it came to.
Wearing no shoes and in the most wretched conditions, Dorsan is ordered to retrieve the sack he's forgotten. And Dorsan's told in no uncertain terms he risks a beating if he messes up again.
Sometimes I think my childhood was a bit hard. Well, I just didn't like it at school much. What didn't happen was I didn't have to go down a mine and carry a sack of cobalt about in the rain. It's odd, isn't it? Because we are all on this planet at the same time. Me, you, that lad. And there he is having that experience. That'll still be happening. Stuff like that's going to keep happening to him until people like me and you care enough about it to do something. But do we care enough about that? Do we care about it as much as we care about the old phone?
Even this punishing work doesn't guarantee enough for food. Dorsan hasn't eaten for 2 days now.
I mean, they should be advertised under that basis, shouldn't they? They should go, iPhone. Oh, by the way, a little boy had to go and mine cobalt out of the sand, and the bloke who was his supervisor did have a go at him. Still want it? Yes, but I feel a bit worse about it.
For this, they'll get maybe 8 British pence a day. And he's one of the children making millions for multinational corporations in America and China whilst they suffer in squalor.
Right, so there's the problem then. Multinational corporations are making millions. Now, so I suppose the only power we have, I don't know, is it as consumers? Is it to demand as consumers that these multinational corporations are responsible? Because they're multinational, it's difficult to tax them, it's difficult to regulate them, it's difficult to control them. But until we start seeing there being a direct equivacy and relationship between that little kid having to do that thing and me having this phone and those transnational corporations having so much power, then nothing will actually change. Is this on Sky or BBC? It's pretty amazing that it's on Sky, really, because broadly speaking, they've got the same agenda. So it's like they can still tell us and they sort of know we won't do anything. What would they have to do to that little kid for us to actually care?
The children's cobalt is sold cheaply to mostly Chinese traders who we film secretly. This trading market has Indian owners.
We've all got bloody phones. I mean, it's not, they can't make it about Chinese people or Indian people, just another form of, the bloody Chinese. I mean, there's no one that you can really blame, except for there needs to be regulation. I mean, it's just a basic human principle, isn't it? They say, well, if you want phones in a certain part of the world and you need people in another part of the world to mine for it, here's some things. It shouldn't be little children. They shouldn't have their health put at risk in order to acquire it. And they should be well remunerated and paid for their work that they do safely while not being children. I mean, aren't these things that we thought we didn't have to say anymore? This isn't Victorian London. but it's sort of worse.
It's an intricate supply chain which allows easy deniability for the multinationals making huge profits. The cobalt first mined here is then sold to the Chinese parent company, which then supplies some of the world's biggest battery makers.
Also, one of the main things you complain about is the batteries are shit. This is for the batteries on some level. It's not even working. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way, hasn't there?
Makumba Mateba shows us the cobalt tunnel he's dug with 3 of his friends. It's his village's water which Makumba's convinced has caused his health problems. After a lifetime of drinking it, he has a huge tumour on his throat.
Oh, God, it's poisoning the well. They're poisoning the well of humanity. And that's sort of ultimately what you feel is happening. While it's happening on a very literal and identifiable level there, on a broader, less ascertainable, but nonetheless toxic level, the well of all of our humanity is being poisoned. Don't you sometimes feel a bit alienated and unhappy and a bit lost in the world? It's because of this sort of stuff. It's affecting all of us because we're living in an unconscious and ignorant way. We know that our lifestyle connects to inconceivable detrimental effects around the world, that we're still living in a form of imperialism and colonialism, that still our happiness and comfort rests upon a form of slavery that we tell ourselves we no longer tolerate, but there it is still happening.
Most of these child miners will never own a smartphone. They barely survive from day to day. And many other children like Dorsan will be back again tomorrow, digging out one of the most sought-after minerals of our time for a pittance.
It's the last thing from they're worried about, isn't it? Like, sort of like, oh, I ain't got a smartphone.
They'll probably have to have one of them Nokias from the old days.
So unimaginable suffering and pain happening for something that is so frivolous and ultimately pointless and isn't making us happy anyway. A radical reevaluation of the world is what's required.
Nose is a tool that is abused to fool you and to leave you scared and confused. Trews is like the nose. If the nose was true, I want some Trews. Let's have some Trews.